Hello monster friends, enthusiasts, and monster lovers out there. This is Monster Master Arthur in Monster Art Reviews. That's right, where I review your monster art, talk about it, and hopefully give you some helpful critique. I'm not a master of arts by any way, but I have had some, and do have some experience in art, and I just want to help out and give you guys some extra views on your artwork and possibly shout-outs. I hope these series are helpful to you, and let's get started. I have this background color right here, and then I'm going to add this shade, and then let's start with our first artwork. I didn't look at these too much, so I can give you my opinion as I film and record this, so it's more realistic. Let me double check something. We start with Mark Comerford. We're going to be looking at Bela Lugosi, Dracula Bureau Pen artwork, okay? So, Bela Lugosi's Dracula, yes, the actor, and then the Dracula, done by Bureau Pen, which is basically a ballpoint pen. Great. I love this artwork, by the way, Mark, because it's all using a pen, a simple ballpoint pen, a Bureau pen. So this goes to show that you don't need some special equipment to create amazing, great work. I'll be talking about your next artwork, your Frankenstein, soon, and I want to compare because the thing I like here and don't like, let me get this started. Let me get my brush ready. Okay, let me set my, you know what, let's keep the background color. Alright, so for example, I like everything. I like the structure. What I think is better with your other artwork compared to this is basically there's a lot of blockiness in your style here. It's very kind of blocky. Your other artwork with the Frankenstein is a lot more organic in your style. And these are two kind of different styles. So I prefer the organic style over this. This looks like it's kind of crumpled paper. It's a kind of crumpled paper effect on this vampire's face, if you know what I mean. Oops, sorry. Back to normal. Everything's good. Nothing happened. Yeah, let's take a look here. Let me make a new layer. Okay, this will be our drawing layer. If you don't know what I mean with the blockiness, basically like here, this is very sharp, you know, instead of more blending, like here, this is very sharp again instead of blending. So that's kind of a fabric kind of look, like if you'd have a piece of cloth or paper, as I mentioned, it would have that kind of look to it because as it folds, it would create sharp shadows, and that's what these are. These are kind of sharp shadows around here. They're not like here, look at that, that's really contrasting with the white. So over here it's a little better. I'd follow this style a bit more levels of grays and lines, and I think you know what I mean. Because now let's talk about your Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, and again, this is done with Bureau Pen. That's right. So, if you take a look at this drawn on, let me see here, there we go. If you look at this Frankenstein, of course, the contrast isn't set that high, but it is dark black, just as the other artwork. It's also done in pen. But look at the style here. It's a bit different, isn't it? And it looks better, especially with the Frankenstein. Maybe, you know, this blocky style looks better with the Dracula. I don't know. See what you guys think. But I'd leave this more blocky style to maybe architecture, things like that, buildings, stuff like that would have more of this style, and the organic to organic things such as well, anything living or corpses or, well, undead or living, but things that were organic in nature. So if you look here, you got all these little details. For example, here you got all these little lines, and that's awesome because you're going from dark, and it's not even completely dark. If you notice, it's you know, like near dark. It's as close to dark as we can get within this picture. And then you got the eyebrows, which are kind of mixed with dark and light, and you know, different little lines, and then going to bright. You don't have this as here from, you know, this contrast, this clear line between the dark and the light. So that's what I like about this Frankenstein image right here. I love how the lines aren't straight. They're all kind of curvy and curly. That really makes this look more rustic, and it really makes him look more dead and old and kind of ancient and decrepit. Could I say that here? So yeah, look at even the nose. Very nicely done. Look at those spots on the nose. I'm really liking this piece. Look at the grayness on the top eyelid. See, there's so much contrast. There's so many levels between black and white here. And look at the scales here. It's almost even like like scales, yeah, fish scales or reptile scales, but they're not overbearing. They're not too powerful, so they're not distracting. They're not confusing. If you look at this at a distance, you can clearly see the shapes, and when you look closer, you're like, wow, you've got all these cool lines, so props on that. I'm really liking this one. Let's go to your next artwork. We got various characters. Let's name them off correctly here. Again, by Mark Comerford. And we got various characters from zombie movies, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Zombie Flesh Eaters, Return of the Living Dead. All done by Biro pen again, or Biro pen, or ballpoint pen, as we usually call it in the States. Okay, so again, here we have, this is fully contrasted. Don't let the background fool you. Remember, this is in the background, this scale to lightness and dark, okay? Just to make it clear, okay? So that's not in the artwork. So what am I liking here? I'm liking this one a lot. This is like a good quality drawing for a comic book or something, like a comic book cover. It's very, very organic, which rocks for characters such as this guy over here. Look at his face. That is awesome. Look at all that detail. This is excellent work, my friend. Look at all these lines right here. Look at the detail there. Let me zoom in on that. Let's zoom in on that. Take a look at that. Look at all those lines. Look at that line work. Look at this. Look at the eyeball there. Look at this. We're going comic book style. We're going black and white. We're going pens. But look at that. We still got a realistic looking eye. That's right. You got to know your shades. You got to know your colors. You got to know everything. What am I saying? Basically, what I'm saying is you still got to know how to be a good artist, even if you want to do more simplified types of art that are black and white. So let's check out his little signature there. There you go. Mark Comerford, 2013. Beautiful work. How do I set this back to scale? Let's set it over here. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So again, loving this piece, loving the composition. Did you compose this yourself? If you have, if you've put all these characters on this sheet of paper in this form and in this order, then excellent work for you. Leaving that a little bit of that empty space here for the signature. Very nice. Giving everybody the attention they deserve. What can I say? This is an excellent work. Everything's got great form, great shape, great style and blending and all that. Excellent work here. Excellent work. Loving it. Okay, let's go to our final piece. This is by Sarah Morris, and obviously it is a Xenomorph. That's right, Xenomorph from the Alien franchise. Let's say movies. Yeah, I don't know, it just feels more respectful to call it the Alien movies or stories. The tales of the alien. Okay, as we can see, she's not quite finished here, as we can continue with the tail nicely here. And as we know, the tail also, I think, from the same Xenomorph, has this big blade at the end. I think the tail would even be longer. Okay, now taking a look at it, I want to compare it with another Xenomorph art piece out there, just as reference, not to put anybody down or anything. This is one of the best ones I could find where it displayed the body pretty well. I don't know if this is the real artist from the movie or games, but this is rather well done. So let's give a shout out to the signature down here, which is SYs. So shout out to SYs on their artwork, wherever or whoever they are, from 2012. So looking at it, we can see the blade, and look at how many bones are sticking up from the tail. You see that? So if we go back here, look at how many bones we got sticking out. Not too many. You see, there's you can basically easily count them, right? But looking at this one, which I think is more accurate to the real thing, if not a true depiction from the one of the official artists, you see the horns, the spines are much more many, especially to the end of the tail, near the end of the tail. So much more many. That's another thing, and remember, that's an important point. So obviously you didn't finish, so you're not in any rush. That means we can take more time on it. We can take more time. We can make them smaller or more numerous. That's no problem. If you get tired of it, just start working at another area, but then when you have the energy again and the will and the motivation, get back to working them and make it look good. And now I'd say that these spines, especially more to the end here, they look a little bit like an afterthought. They're not too well organized. It's like, you got tired of doing them. So make sure you don't let people see what you went through while you were creating your art. Just let them get lost in your art and completely forget, that the artist was, working hard on this. Well, you know what I mean. Looking at the head here, the head has a rather odd shape, which again, this is your Xenomorph. It doesn't have to be this official one. If you see, and there's many types. The other one, or the more common one, has a very smooth head here. But again, I don't know if you had any reference when you drew this. If you didn't, thumbs up to you. If you drew this without any reference, just memory, then right on. So it doesn't have to be exactly. There's many Xenomorphs, but maybe yours chooses to look like this, so that's fine. No problem with that. I like that you added this detail here. That's correct. Again, I've looked at a lot of images and I compared, so I'm only using this image because it covers a lot of points that I thought were important. So if you look at the legs there, the joints and all that, you got that going. You got that going right here very nicely. That's right. Okay, something I like that you did with the style is you see the leg back here. You kept it kind of blurry. This isn't a fully finished art piece. It's a concept kind of representation. You left it blurry. I like that. You don't have to add in details. I would say you could have done some of that with the arm. What I'm seeing with your style is you're putting down heavy lines rather early and quick, and that's unnecessary. You don't need to put those heavy lines. Do lighter lines. If you're not sure of the shape, you do lighter. I think the line work on this hand, for example, is a bit heavy, and we don't need them. You can do lighter lines because now this hand it doesn't look that good. This one looks excellent. This one, it's kind of in the distance, unless there's a light source behind him that's creating a dark kind of silhouette of the hand. You don't need these sharp lines. It is a little bit closer maybe than this leg, but it's almost in that same area, so I would kind of lighten those outlines on the hands. If you're creating a whole environment, you really don't need to worry about outlines that much on your main subject because the environment will help you define the lines. Keep that in mind. One more thing I'd want to mention here is the torso area. Anatomy knowledge goes pretty much with everything. It doesn't matter how crazy and unrealistic your creature is. Anatomy of animals and humans, things that we know are real, are going to be very helpful. One very helpful piece of advice that Hiroshi Katagiri gave me during an interview on my other channel. He's a creature creator that works in Hollywood on some pretty big movies, and he said, don't go off creating something completely, but instead use references to create something. And that's really important because even I like to create crazy creatures and making up my own joints, but to make it realistic and believable and to the standards for like Hollywood movies and games, people like to see something that they can relate because it creates that realism instead of having a whole blobby or wooden type of creature that wouldn't move around realistically. You have things that you can relate with it, and the joints and stuff would work. Alright, that was a lot said. I'll probably repeat it someday, but taking a look at this rib cage, you gotta know how the rib cage is facing here. It looks like this might be the center, like the sternum would be here, and then the ribs going around here, so that would be about right. It's just you want to make sure and look at enough references to know what's going on here, because it almost looks a little bit confusing if you look at it here. And the cool thing about Xenomorphs is nothing's too confusing. They're so complex and confusing in nature that when you actually look at them in detail, they're not that confusing, if that makes any sense. Oh boy, I'm getting deep here, but that's what I like about Xenomorphs. They got hard lines everywhere. Everything is very defined. They have 0% body fat, so you can see all that stuff. So again, pay attention to that. It seems the proportions are pretty good. The legs are at a good length. People often make legs a bit too short. Again, the tail would be longer, and at the end of the tail, you would have this nice blade. So, looking good. High five to you, and thank you for the submission. Loving the work. I really hope to see more from you, Sarah Morris. Thank you for the submission. I do hope you watch this video, and I do hope you enjoy it. If you find anything helpful, that's an extra bonus for me. So until next time, please keep sending your monster artwork to me. That means monster sculpts, miniature paintings, anything monster related, even digital stuff. If it's art and it's monstrous, send it to me. This has been Monster Master Arthur, signing out.